This is the Conrad Alert. Civil defense information will be broadcast at 6:40.
West of the Rockies, you're on the air. Hello.
Y2K, how can we prepare?
Stop a few of their machines and radios. Throw them into darkness for a few hours.
We are fighting for our lives. My family must survive.
For 5 years, 1,000 gallons of gas, air filtration, water filtration.
Coming at you from the frozen tundra that is East Central Alberta, Canada. Streaming live on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, Telegram, Rumble, and Odyssey. Welcome back to the workshop where we create community, find freedom, promote preparedness, and share success. I am Toolman Tim. Today is April the 16th, 2023, and this is episode 292 of the Workshop Podcast. So how the hell is everyone out there? It has been an absolutely gorgeous weekend here. The absolute perfect. You couldn't ask for any better. 3 more days, we'll be on the road heading to Living Free in Tennessee. Real quick, we got Thecia coming on in just a minute. I am excited. So before we get going, I get my announcements out of the way. Hey, there's Rev. Good to see you, brother. He's a fellow dude right here in my town, much more handy than I am. So first off, Telegram group. Seems like every episode we get 1 new follower over there. Come by, join us. Tonight, I just posted a 2-minute video on the exact process that I use to make an old-fashioned because it was requested, and I figured, hey, why the hell not? Completely unedited, you'll get to see it. So it's over there. But honestly, the big deal is it's where we all hang out to share our failures and our triumphs and encourage one another to get out and get shit done. Number 2, if you're not on NOSTR, that's okay. But if you want to be, come and join us. I put my public key in the description tonight. Follow me. Let me know who, when I see you pop up, I'll follow you back. We're really enjoying it over there. It's just a really cool, so far, small community that seems to be growing with leaps and bounds. And of course, it runs on the blockchain. It's a very similar technology to crypto, all of that. But I'm not here to talk about that tonight. But it is a really good platform to try out. So give it a go. Good evening, Dixon. Good evening, Matt. Good evening, Byron. Good to have you all, guys. Finally, so it's now time to start looking forward to the next event. You guys know I'm going to be at LFTN, but soon after that, May 28th and 29th, I'm going to be in Addy, Washington. I'm going to be speaking there 4 times in 2 days. Going to be a great time at the Thrivalist Fair, thrivalist.org. You can pick up tickets. I think it's $50 for a whole family for the whole weekend. And if you're Canadian, you get that on par with Freedom Bucks. So that means that's like, $14 American when you get the exchange rate going? Or no, not really, but it's worth it. So come by that Sunday evening. We're going to have a around the campfire workshop gathering. I'm stoked. And beyond that, it's going to be a great time. Finally, today's tool is the Tesmen Multimeter. It's under $10, probably the cheapest one you can get on Amazon. I got a couple of them. They've worked great for me. Links in the description if you're looking for an inexpensive way to test electrical gear. And with that, let's bring on my friend Thecia. Hey, Thecia, how are you?
Great. You know what? You got to know, I love your intro music, and I play a mean air guitar every time I hear it.
Oh, I love it. So here's the deal. I don't say it often enough. That the riff, the music part of it, that is from Greg Arcade. He's a Canadian. I don't want to call him blues. He's country and rock. He's just a cool, old-fashioned, freedom-loving son of a bitch. And he does my music. He does Chris Dixon's music, Brian Alexovich's music, I think. He's like, dude, use it for whatever you want. So thank you. Yeah, I love that. That's a great riff, and thank you.
Yeah, very cool.
So how you been?
Busy, as usual. It's springtime.
Just a little or a lot busy?
Yeah, it's ramped up. Like, we've got custody of my granddaughter, so prom is in 2 weeks. We've been looking for a dress for her. Softball season has started. I had 50 Cornish cross chicks come in. I've got some breast chicks that are growing up, and I've got I've got meat birds. I've got egg layers, and I don't know. I got a mess.
So, okay. I mean, I think we met in person for the first time last year at the spring workshop. I'm pretty sure. Yeah. So I know you now, which is great. And I had the pleasure of hearing a little bit of your presentation at SRF when I could get a couple of free minutes and come and see you. But can you share with everybody who Thecia is? I've been following you for 2 or 3 years on YouTube, which I think is pretty cool. I love what you do. But start back at the beginning. And she has lots of stories, but always, the routine here is what was your first job in high school or before that? I love to hear it.
Oh, my first job in high school. Well, I wrecked as a babysitter, so I decided I'd go ahead. I got my first real job at 13 as a waitress, and so I've been working since I was 13.
Where was that at?
That was in Southwest Oklahoma. It was a little family restaurant. I don't even remember the name of it anymore because I'm old, so that was a long time ago.
That's not a sign of age. That's just a sign of, yep, we've done a lot, right? So
yeah. I've had a few jobs over the years.
So you're in Oklahoma now?
Yes, I was born in Northeast Oklahoma in Tulsa, and my teenage years we lived in Southwest Oklahoma, and then I moved back up to Northeast Oklahoma and got married and moved to Alaska, and then to Texas, and then got divorced and married again and moved to California, and now I'm on my third and last husband and back here in Northeast Oklahoma.
So you glossed over one of my favorite stories that you've ever told, and that is your trip to Alaska. Can you share that with us? Because
when I was driving back from Alaska,
yes,
my first husband was a heavy wheel diesel mechanic in the Army, and apparently he was really good at heavy wheel diesel mechanics, but he really was not good at light wheel gas. And this was in 1983, and we had a 1966 Chevy Impala, and it smoked profusely, so we bored out the engine 30 over, so the 283 bored out 30 over, and it worked out. Had a pretty good engine, had a 2-speed power glide transmission, but that didn't work, so we put a different 2-speed power glide transmission. All the parts that we bought came from junkyards. We had a 20-gallon, or I think it was a 22-gallon fuel tank, but had a huge dent in the gas tank. So the sending unit to tell us how much fuel we had didn't work. And I didn't want to take a 5,000-mile trip without knowing how much fuel we had. So we went back to I don't know how much time you got. This is one trip.
Oh, no, you take your time. We got as long as you need, darling.
Okay. Well, they bought a 25-gallon tank and had to extend the straps. So we had changed out the transmission with the 2-speed power glide transmission. We were going up a mountain to see if it was working. And the gas tank was, I don't know if you know how you used to flip down the license tag, and that's where you filled up.
Yeah.
That's where the nozzle came up. Okay, so the straps that he had done to hold up 25 gallons gave away, and the gas tank fell off, but the nozzle was hung in the bumper. So that was when my oldest son, Kenzie's dad, was 2 years old, and my husband was going, grab the baby and jump, because we're like spewing sparks all over the place. So I'm jumping out of a running vehicle, running down the mountain until he could get and get pulled over and stop. But we got the gas tank on, the transmission worked. But when we actually got on the road, the exhaust fell off 6 times. The left front wheel fell off twice. We hit a culvert wrong and lost the front torsion rods and radiator. And then because we kept having to put the exhaust back on, something was not lined up right with the exhaust system and the linkage to the transmission. So every time we were trying to go over a mountain and put it in low, the linkage was hitting the exhaust system and falling off. So we're wandering up and down the highway looking for the linkage to the transmission with signs that says, stay in your car, there are bears. So a 5,000-mile trips. There were some days we only got like 200 miles. That was the longest trip. But I want to go back. I want to go in a vehicle that will make it, and I want to go back and do it right.
Becky and I have thought about it. It's not that long of it is, but relatively speaking, where we live, it's not that far. But didn't you at some point, am I crazy, or did you put the gas tank in the trunk?
Oh, yeah, because the straps wouldn't hold up, so we ended up putting the gas tank in the trunk, and then I had Carmex in my pocket, and we used that for lubricant we ran the fuel lines through the portholes in the trunk, and then the Carmex would use lube so we can hook it all up. But that was also where we were supposed to store our luggage and stuff for this trip. So we had to buy a rack and put all of our stuff on top. And the gas tank was in the trunk of the car.
So were you always that handy, or did you kind of develop that skill as you traveled across country? Or
no, whenever I was trying to divorce my first husband, I wanted to make sure that I was going to provide for my son. So I tested for the Air Force, and they said they when they got the results back, they said, you know what, you could be anything you want to be except a mechanic. I did not have mechanic aptitude. So yeah, so what I do now is I'm learning the hard way.
So how did you end up back? So you're coming back from Alaska. Where did you head from there to end up where you are today?
After Alaska, my first husband got stationed at Fort Hood, Texas. And then I divorced him while he was stationed in Korea. It was a very contentious marriage. It was one of those things that he told me, if you divorce me, I'm going to kill you, and then I'm going to kill myself. So I waited until he was in Korea to divorce him, and then gave him time to calm down. Good and then call. I married my ex-husband, and his mom wanted us to move out to California. So the same week I got married, I left everything behind and moved to California. And then I got sick. I was allergic to smog, and I was allergic to, I had some health problems, and apparently I wasn't very much fun. So he left me for another woman, and I just moved back to Oklahoma at that time. So I'm married for life 3 times. I just haven't done a very good job of it.
Well, this third one's not too bad. Hey, you said he was your last husband. So
he's my last one. Yeah.
My great grandmother outlived 5 husbands. So
ooh.
I don't know. You can read into that whatever you want, but she was a little 5'0" lady, and whatever. Yeah, she managed to outlive all 5 of them. So I don't know what that means, but
I found out recently that my now I knew that she had been through 5 husbands, and I knew that she came to Oklahoma in a covered wagon. What I didn't know until a couple of years ago, that when she lived in southern Oklahoma, she was actually the madam of a whorehouse.
That's actually really cool.
It was interesting. My dad was not thrilled because it was his grandmother.
Whatever. We all have closets in the past, or skeletons in the closet. Yeah, closets in the past. Yeah, skeletons in the past. So, Joker says 3rd time's a charm, eh?
I guess.
So you came back from California to Oklahoma and kind of settled from there?
Yeah, I came back, and one of the first jobs I got coming back, because by then I had 2 boys, and I actually got to be a meter reader. I loved that job. I was one of those that's in your backyard reading your meters and doing that. But this was before they had radio frequency reads. So if you had bad dogs in your backyard, I was also the one that was hanging over your 6-foot fence with binoculars trying to read your meter from. And because I couldn't keep the hat on for the company hat on, I had a hair going everywhere. And so I got a lot of calls saying there's some crazy woman with crazy hair with binoculars looking in my backyard.
My grandmother had one of the old houses that had her electrical meter in the house.
Oh.
So whenever the reader had to come, she always had to let him in the front door, and she hated it because she kept a clean house. Didn't she hate that? But I always said, just move it outside, but she never listened to me. So how long did you do the meter reading for?
About 9 months. I did. We had to wear steel shanked boots and walk 10 to 15 miles a day. And it did a lot of damage to my feet. Had you heard the story about the naked man and the Rottweiler?
No.
Okay.
Just found the title for today's show, guys. So, yeah.
Well, I was still in training, and they do a lot of training on you when you're there, because you're in yards with dogs, and so you do a lot of training to how to deal with dogs. And so I was on one of my first routes, and my boss was just 2 or 3 blocks over, and I had walked up to this house to read the meter, and we have radios, and this man and woman are in the front yard arguing because the woman had a Rottweiler chained to her car that was on the road. And apparently he was a dog catcher, and he's telling her, no, you can't be putting your dog there and stuff. So I'm walking up, I'm going, hey, meter reader, can you put your dog up? And she goes, sure. So she puts the dog into the house, and I go around to the south side of the house, and they're diverting electricity, and they have the whole meter off the wall. So it's an open socket. And protocol is I'm supposed to stay there and guard it so somebody doesn't stick their hand in and electrocute themselves. And I was trying to call my supervisor, trying to call the office, and my battery was dead on my radio. So I thought, oh man, I'm going to have to go find my boss. So I took off walking. Well, when the woman put the dog in the house, she put him in the backyard, and the gate on the other side of the house was open. And so I'm staring down a Rottweiler coming after me. And you never know how you're going to act. But I turned around. You had a handheld camera, not a camera, but a computer, and I stuck it down. And I said, "You better get back!" And then something snapped in me, and I started chasing him. And I'm going to come kick your butt. And next thing I know, here comes this man, naked as a jaybird, carrying his jeans, going, "Oh my gosh, are you okay? Are you okay?" And I'm thinking, "Yeah, I'm fine, but he's naked. Where's that dog?" So I had to go find my boss, and we got the socket put back together. But by the time we got back, they're going, "Oh crap, we've been caught," and they're like speeding off. And
oh my God, yeah. Well, you had some fun. That was a lifetime worth of memories in 9 months.
Yeah. I tried to quit smoking a few times during that time, and I had some interesting encounters. And the only thing you can do is sit on the curb afterward and go and smoke your cigarette. I never got bit. I was able to get into a lot of yards too. I liked that job. I really did.
So how did you end up in your, what you said was a 1998 $2,500 mobile home? How did you end up there?
We're on a 40-acre plot that Tom and his sisters inherited from his dad when he passed in 2006. And we had the middle 13 and third acres. And my last husband has depression issues. And so he doesn't believe in wills and stuff like that. I thought, you know what? My name is on the acreage. My name is on the camper that we had bought for $2,800. I'm putting my focus there. So we moved out here, and we ended up living in a stinking camper for over 7.5 years. And so, that's when I was finally deciding that Tom was not unable to move us forward, and I had to do it. So that's when I started my YouTube channel and stuff too. I needed to see us progressing. I needed to see us moving forward. So, but Tom did find a trailer house, and we paid $2,500 for it, moved it in, and it actually sat for 3 years before we moved into it, trying to get it renovated enough where at least we could be functional in it. So, yeah, and I'm sitting here looking at insulation in where I'm torn apart my bathroom right now, and I haven't put it back together yet.
Tori, she says, Thecia's autobiography is going to be titled "How a Naked Man Tried to Save Me from a Rottweiler." That's great. I love it. I think the first video of yours I ever saw, and it must have been just about 3 years ago, was where I seen this crazy lady who was learning how to do everything herself, climbing up on her roof. I think you were trying to seal where your porch met your trailer. Is that right? And all I could think of was, what in the hell is that lady doing up on that roof? She's going to hurt herself. And you've done so much since then.
I've learned a lot. I really have. And guess what? My skirting is still holding. It gets a little weak sometimes, but it's still holding. But I think I had to redo that 6 or 7 times before I could get it set where it hold.
Well, we were on, for those who don't remember or don't know, we were on the Fireside Freedom together. And it seemed like every week you would pop, or we would talk a few minutes beforehand. I'd ask you how your skirting was. And you're like, well, some of it blew down, but I'm going to do it again. Yeah. And if that's not the epitome of, stubbornness, I don't know what is, because you did, you got it working.
Yeah, and it was kind of funny because when it did blow down, and I'm one of those, I can throw things. I can throw fits, I can throw tools, but I didn't get too discouraged. I'm going, okay, this is a learning experience. And so I was able to focus on that enough to say, okay, this is my learning curve. And if I can get this, then maybe I can learn how to do something else.
Absolutely. So you're also a prepper, are you?
Yeah.
Yeah. So how did that come about? So I guess I probably skipped that by mistake, but how did you become into preparedness at some point?
When Tom first got sick, he got so sick. We got down to mystery meat in the bottom of the freezer. And before Tom and I were married, I was a single mom for a lot of the time, because obviously when you get divorced, you don't just jump off and get married again. So I was a single mom, and I understood the need to keep food and stuff. And so whenever we got down to mystery meat in the bottom of the freezer, I'm going, I know how to handle this. I know what to do. And I think at that point, my ex-husband had told me about Jack Spirko, and that's when I started learning about copy canning and all that other stuff. So yeah, I've been listening to Jack Spirko, I think since episode 940. For some reason, that number sticks in my head. So yep, I started doing the copy canning. I've started doing things, and then I'm weird, but I still feel like we're about to head to the next Great Depression. So because I'm on the acreage, yeah, I can have all the canned goods. I can have all that other stuff. But the Great Depression, I've heard two different dates. One of them was 10 years and the other was 13 years of how long it lasted. Well, any stores I have are not going to last that long. So that's why I started trying to do chickens and turkeys and ducks and pigs and stuff. And I think now I may even try to get into some cattle, because my property is reclaimed coal pits. They did strip mining on the property. So like all the property around us, most of it is like beautiful trees and stuff. And they came and stripped mined coal on this, and then they just bulldozed it. So I have young trees now, but not really any real trees. So it's mainly pasture.
So I'm guessing now, years ago, I lived in Saskatchewan for a winter, and they had, again, there were like veins that they followed, and they would just strip it back, and they would kind of fix it afterwards, but they'd become little communities or little properties. So is the soil really shitty at this point? Like there can't be a lot of topsoil there, is there?
There's not a lot of topsoil. It sat for, I don't know, 20 years, I think. And Tom's dad leased it out to a guy that put cattle on it, but he didn't do the mob graze or anything. He just let like 20 cattle on 40 acres, and they ate what they wanted and stuff. So there wasn't a lot of topsoil buildup. We have a vineyard that takes up about an acre. It had 320 grapevines in it at one time. But when we were augering the ground because you're supposed to have like an 18-inch hole for each grapevine that you plant. Yeah. And we were coming up with grease rags. It was just wrapped around the auger coming up. And that's when we found out years later that the motor pool for all the vehicles were there. And I'll come up with a solenoid to a truck or to a vehicle. I've got one section over there that if I do too much digging, if there's some pipes heaving up out of the ground. Oh. So yeah, there's not a lot of topsoil. There's a lot of shale. Where I've been putting animals, there's some pretty good topsoil there, but it's not great stuff.
Is Oklahoma known for its grapes? I wouldn't have guessed that.
No, I don't believe so. I think we were kind of in we've had some vineyards in the area. I think there was just a period where it was like a fad or something, and Tom jumped onto that fad. Sure. There was a guy that was only about 10 miles from us, and he had a nice vineyard, and he had a winery and everything, and that's where we were going to sell our grapes, but he was too close to the railroad tracks, and every time they came through and sprayed herbicide on the railroad tracks, it was overspraying, and he finally had to quit. Most of the vineyards around us have had to quit because, and even on years I get good grapes, I will go several years without a harvest at all because we get the beautiful grapes. We have wet springs usually, and then within a week it goes from like 60 and 70 degrees and wet to 90 and 95 degrees and dry, and all these grapes just turn into little black BBs on the vine. So every once in a while I'll have a pretty good haul, but most years I don't have any grapes at all.
You'd have to soak them in water just to turn them into raisins.
Yeah, they get sunburned real bad. They look bad.
Tori says, this has been, you, of course, said it's been a true inspiration to me. Divorced mom, whose very handy ex-husband did all the projects, and now I'm left to figure things out. I hope I don't break a bone. Said, but Thecia has been an inspiration to me. And said, a divorced mom whose ex-husband did all the projects, now I'm trying to figure it out. So how does that feel to be an inspiration, Thecia? That's pretty freaking cool.
I've watched some of her posts and stuff, and she's been pretty cool. She's probably every bit as determined as I am to learn things and take care of things, and that's really cool. It has been kind of interesting. Now, because I'm 60 years old, when I meet people, the most of them are people my age, and they go, man, we were going to give up on life, and I really wanted to do this project, but I've decided I was too old. But now I think I can do it. And I'm going, yeah, get out there and do it. So that's been weird. And I'm sure you know how that is the first time people start to kind of get to know you and tell you how you affect their life. I did have a funny story happen the other day. I went to church, and this boy's about, I don't know, he's 6 or 7 years old. And his mother goes, hey, did Wesley say anything to you? I said, no, why? What's up? She goes, well, they're just getting into homesteading. And she goes, and we've been looking at all the videos. And Wesley goes, I don't want to watch these guys. And she goes, well, do you want to watch some of Thecia's things? And he goes, who's that? He goes, you know, that lady at the church. He goes, yeah. And then he starts watching my videos. He goes, wow, I finally know somebody who's famous.
That's awesome. I love that. Isn't that sweet? Kids, that makes you, that must have made your day. Yeah, well, it made me nervous, made me insecure. Like, no, I'm not famous. My nephew watches them, and every so often I'm like, I probably shouldn't have said that, but you know me. So, okay. So you're a homesteader, you're a prepper, and you kind of talked a bit about your philosophy as far as how, trying to prepare for another Great Depression. But what would your personal philosophy be for making sure your family's taken care of and that sort of stuff?
Right now I am focusing on renewable. I still do the canning. I have my canned goods and store-bought stuff. I've got my store-bought stuff in there. But I do some canning, but right now I'm focusing on because I have the ability to put live animals that can be regenerated on my property. I do have Cornish cross going, but I also have just recently invested into that Bress bird, the BRESSE, and those are supposed to be good for both meat birds and egg laying and stuff. And they're just getting old enough to. I've got one of them that's laying a little bit, and I've got 2 roosters I'm going to have to process soon. I want to see how they do. I have some heritage breeds turkeys. Because I had developed some pretty severe food allergies, and I think we're finding out it was alpha-gal because I was not able to eat any red meat at all. But I just recently found out that I can again, and so that's mainly what I was focusing on was birds, because I could eat meat and birds. I mean, I can eat poultry and fish, but I couldn't eat beef and goat and sheep, and I couldn't eat any red meat. So now that has diminished greatly, I haven't had a bacon cheeseburger yet because that's one of my favorite things to eat. But yeah, I'm trying to get the courage up to do it.
So you're raising your own bacon, or you're attempting to. How is that going? Because that's got to be a bit of a chore for you, I'm thinking.
No, the pigs I have are pretty good pigs. They're called an Idaho pasture pig. Okay. And so they're supposed to, and I chose this breed for a variety of reasons. They like grass. So if I can't get feed, I'd have to move them a lot, but I have grass. I got 40 acres worth of grass I can move them to and keep them fed at least. They're docile. I can get right in the pen with them and do all kinds of stuff. I'm thinking, we're thinking it was from a tick bite. I have been bit by ticks several times over the years, and gotten sick a couple of times. My joints got sick in 2008 real bad, and I've gotten over it. So I get the feeling it probably was a tick bite issue. And
for the meat allergy?
For the meat allergies, yeah. This is called alpha-gal, and that's probably it's from a Lone Star tick.
Crazy. Yeah, I've met a few people that have been bit by ticks before and had meat reactions after that, but that sucks. That really sucks.
Yeah, well, and I looked terrible. I had such severe eczema and such swelling, and I was allergic to everything. I looked like I had like open sores, and I looked like a fat meth head. Oh. And I felt terrible, but I feel great now. I really do.
Still had your own teeth though, so you did okay there.
Yeah, I did have my own teeth. Yeah. But I look so bad. When I was at my worst, I was at the height of COVID, and everybody's supposed to wear a mask and all that other stuff. And here I come in with all these, and I didn't go very many places because I just look so bad. But whenever I show up, people look at it. You know how it is when you have something, they look at you and then they look down while they're talking. Yeah. because they don't want to look at you. It's like,
Like when you
woo.
cough in the early days of COVID, everybody turned and be like, oh, they're going to shoot you or something, right?
Oh, yeah. I mean, you don't even want to sneeze at all in public either.
Renegade Butcher says, I had a guy on my show a few times in Oklahoma who's crossing Cornish cross to other breeds and had good success with sustainable meat birds. Would love to see them crossed with breast birds.
Huh, that's interesting.
That's kind of cool. Have you done any interbreeding with your birds at all yet, or no?
Well, not on purpose.
No, fair enough. Yep.
My egg layers are kind of a mixed breed. I bought heavy bodied layers that my egg customers like brown eggs, and so I've got some black copper morans, and I've got some barred rocks and stuff so that if I need to, I can eat those, also. Have
your pigs got out of the pen at all yet? Or
oh yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I just do electric net fencing, and I had to buy a new boar, and I didn't ask before I bought him if he was electric. Here's another story, Tim. Sorry.
Oh, don't be sorry. I love your story. That's what you're here for.
I forgot to ask if he was electric net fence trained. And my two girls, they were, I think they were a year old at the time, and he was only like 9 months old. So it was like a teenage boy thing. Yep. And he did not honor the electric fence. And he kept, I was trying to keep him separated for a few days, and he wasn't hearing it. And that poor thing, he harassed those girls so badly that one of them actually bit his testicle, and he was pouting on that for a while. He was bleeding. His testicles were bleeding. And then he backed up to a live electric fence. And therefore he is now trained to electric net fencing. I felt so bad. He had a rough few days when he first got here.
So what, I know you've done bathrooms, a whole bunch of things. What was the first thing that you kind of cut your teeth on with this trailer renovation for you? Where did you start?
Probably my granddaughter's room. We had to do some renovating in her bathroom. We put down a floor. We painted her room. So it was really light duty type stuff, just making it nice for her, and curtains and stuff like that. But she actually moved in to the trailer house before we did, because apparently I wasn't much fun to live with whenever I was real bad sick with the skin stuff. And we were living in a camper, and she was I think she was 13 at the time, something like that, 12 or 13. And she's going, I just want to move over to the house. And she had a heated bedroom and a heated bathroom. So we let her go over there for a little while until I could get at the rest of us over there.
And for the record, you're raising your granddaughter, aren't you?
Yeah. We got custody of her when she was 11.
So on top of everything else you're doing, you're 60 years old and you're raising a teenager.
Yeah, but you know what? I adore this kid. I think I even said when I was at Self-Reliance Festival this last fall, is I would kill or die for her. I really would. I feel very protective of her, but we still got a pretty good relationship. I mean, she doesn't tell me her deep, dark secrets by any means or anything, but she knows that I would kill or die for her. She knows that I will not let her go hungry. She knows that I've got her back. And that was my big goal. And that's part of the reason I haven't gotten as much renovating done either, because I'm focused on her.
There's nothing wrong with that at all, Thecia. That's incredible. So learning how to renovate, running a homestead, and for the most part, you're doing most of it 95% yourself, aren't you? Yeah,
that's true.
How do you find time?
I don't always.
I know.
I'm trying to get caught up on my video editing, and I'm about 3 weeks behind on it. It's terrible.
So how did that come about? What the hell even possessed you to? So here you are struggling. Somebody who doesn't. I mean, to be fair, you would be the first to admit that you didn't know much of anything about any of this. You're learning as you went through YouTube University. So why did you start a YouTube channel to share all of your struggles?
When Tom and I were dating, we went to South Padre Island every summer for vacation. he had a lake lot. He had a couple of boats. We went fishing. We went camping. We went hunting. You know, that's pretty much how he caught me is letting me do all this stuff. And then when we got sick, we went backward real bad. We almost lost the farm. We almost lost a whole bunch of other stuff. And I didn't know it. And so I basically had to take over all of that too. And because we went backwards so bad, I needed to see us moving forward. So I started a YouTube channel. At the time, it was called Ellis Family Farms because we had the vineyard. Tom was keeping bees and I had my animals. So I thought, well, that's more than one farm. We had, you know, more than one type of thing going. And to me, it was documenting us moving forward, even if it's incrementally. I needed to see us moving forward, so it was mainly for me. And then just a few months ago, that's when I finally realized, okay, this is my thing, and that's when I changed the channel to Grandma's Homestead, and I've been real pleased with that change.
I love that branding. When I saw it, I don't know when I first caught it, but I just thought, did you design the logo or did you have somebody do it for you?
I had somebody do it for me, but you know what? The avatars that you can put on your phone, I just used that. I just told her, I said, this is what I want is my avatar on my phone because it looks just like me. And so that's what she did. She made a logo out of that for me.
It's perfect branding for what you do too. I love it because before, I mean, I remember when I first saw Ellis Family Farm, I'm like, I wonder who that is. And then I realized it was you. But Grandma's Homestead, I know exactly what that's about. I love it. Yeah, I do. I've liked it. It's been a good move. So what was the first project that you did at the trailer when you first, after you got your granddaughter's room done? Where did you go from there? Mainly getting it where we could actually move into it. Cause I'm still on subflooring in the bedroom and the flooring itself in most of the house is just that peel and stick stuff. And, except for in the kitchen, it's got, I don't know, this whole place is terrible. It sat empty for so long. It's had incredible water damage and incredible rodent damage, lots of rodent damage. And so that's the reason I had to gut the bathroom because the floor was falling apart. And like literally when we took the toilet out, well, the toilet was sitting on some plywood. So I knew it was rotted underneath the plywood. And then we pulled the plywood out and it was like a 2-foot hole. That was like open air, and underneath the shower was almost the same thing. It wasn't quite as bad. So I had to replace the subflooring in there. So basically I had to take the whole thing out. But I'm an idiot. I don't know anything. Talk about not knowing what you're doing. Instead of just putting the floor down and putting the walls back in to do it, I thought, because I think the shower in there was 31 inches. And I thought, oh, no, I'm doing all this. I want a wider. So I bought a 48-inch shower. Okay. And was going to move the walls. But moving the walls was a little more to it than I had anticipated because apparently that's where the electricity goes through and all kinds of other stuff. So that's been I was really lamenting for a while, realizing how much when I was tearing it apart, how much I was going to have to redo. But after seeing the floor, I'm thinking I was going to have to anyway. So I might as well have what I want. What was the hardest one you did? What was the thing that was there ever anyone that made you feel like, shit, I got to pull my hair out or I'm just going to give up? I think the hardest thing for me right now is just getting it done at all. I'm real tired of looking because I've got the inner walls taken out now. So when we had the hole in the floor, a stray cat decided that this is home. And so I kept trying to cover up these. So it's like 40 degrees in the daytime and below freezing at night. And we've got these holes in the floor with just like kind of just scrap wood thrown over it and carpet top. But this cat could find a way in. Well, now because I don't have any inner walls and I've got just bare insulation, he likes to climb the insulation to get up to the bathroom window. And yeah, if you know anybody wants a cat, I got one. Oh my goodness, you poor thing. Yeah. So where are you heading? So do you have the bathroom basically done now? No, 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 we've got subflooring in the inner walls. I love my husband, but one day I wanted to pull up the old floor and throw the new stuff down because it was winter time. Yep. And we spent hours measuring and marking and measuring and marking and
Yeah, money pit. That's the truth. And now we've got the subflooring down. I said, okay, we ready to do the holes? He's going, no. I mean, this is like a month later. And I said, what do you mean you don't know where the holes go?
Oh,
I said,
no.
yeah. So we haven't even still got the holes for we got the holes for the toilet and the vent pipe for that done, but we haven't got the holes done for the shower and stuff yet. So I'll work on it. I'll get it done eventually.
Oh, yeah. It might, now, just a suggestion, could you pull one sheet of underlay up at a time and figure out where those holes should be? Would that be the easiest way? Or not?
Well, this is on the end of the house. It's like a 44-inch gap, so I can just crawl up underneath there and do it. It's easily done. I can, so now it's just a matter of getting it done. But I've had my hands full. I've had some pig issues lately and stuff, so that's kind of kept me busy. So, but I'll get back at it.
I love how you say it's easy. She's like, it's a 44-inch gap. I'll just crawl under the mobile home and cut it out. Like that's something everybody does, you know?
Well, I do it slowly, and I look old doing it some days, but I can still do it.
Yes. What's stopping anybody from doing it? What do you think gets in the way of people? Because you said you've had people who have messaged you or talked to you and said, you know, I wasn't going to do this because of my age or because of my health or whatever. What's the thing that stops people, and how do you stop stopping?
You know, you do have to assess. There are days I feel my age. There are days that I feel my arthritis. There are days that, I had like a 3-week bout of bronchitis and I couldn't do too much. And so you sit there and going, oh, you know, you're not getting any younger. Why are you even trying? And then you just got to pull up your pants and say, you know what, if you don't do it, it's not going to get done. So are you going to settle for something less? Or are you going to do what you can? And I've told my granddaughter, I said, this is where I want to die. And I said, this sounds morbid, but if you find me out here and I've been dead for 3 days, you'll know I died happy. You know, I like what I'm doing. I like moving forward. I like doing, I'm not any good at it, but I like learning and I like knowing that I can still do it.
So why do you say you're not good at learning? Because that's obviously a lie, Thecia, because you can learn.
It is harder when you get older. The comprehension goes down, and you have to have some, and people have to be, sometimes they have to be real patient with you, explain it to you 3 times before it snaps. And I'm not unintelligent, but I do understand that I'm being obtuse when somebody tries to explain something to me. And I just tell them out front, I'm being an idiot. Try again. I know I'll get it eventually, you know?
So, okay. And I don't consider you old at all because you're only 60, but since you brought it up, I'll ask you this. So are there tricks to keep your brain working or to learn things as you get a little bit older? Or is it just repetition and stubbornness?
I think it's a little bit of all of it, but I have also been very curious about a lot of things. I Google everything, you know. In fact, my husband one time goes, don't you just ever want to just wonder? And I'm going, no. You know, he'll say, I wonder why that. I'm going, I don't know. Let's find out, you know. And yeah, he told me that the other day. And I said, why would you wonder? Why would you want to wonder about it? Don't you want to know? Because I like to know. Whatever it is, I think everything is interesting except algebra. I'm not very good. I hate algebra, and there are a few things I don't like. But I read a wide variety of books. I enjoy. I mean, I read novels and good for me books and all that other stuff. I've read Tom Clancy and Clive Cussler and Judith Krantz and just whatever. You know, I read a variety of books and I enjoy it.
What's your favorite book?
Well, my favorite author is Dean Koontz. Love him. I love the way he describes things. I love his stories. I love the way he gets into characters. I just love his work.
What, any particular one of his you really like?
Oh, yeah. Seize the Night. That was one of the early ones I'd read of his. And I think that's kind of what captured my imagination. You know, like one of the passages is he could talk to animals and he's trying to get a cat to go inside a door. And he goes in, and just like the cat, it goes halfway and stops. And I'm thinking, oh, he's right. You know,
the most obvious thing, but the really good authors have a way of bringing that to life and noticing the mundane, don't they?
Yeah, but I love the way he describes things. I go through and highlight his description when he describes how hot is the desert and what does it look like and how does it feel and the sunset and the way the rain is falling. I mean, way he describes, you go, ooh, yeah, I can see that, you know. So yeah, I love his work.
Because, you know, we do a lot of fiction reading. We have our post-apocalyptic book club, which is fun. But do you think that, because for some people who all they ever want to do is learn, some people look at fiction and they're like, why would you waste time on a made-up story when you can be reading a self-help book? But do you think there's some, I mean, obviously you do, but what's the merit in listening to fiction or reading fiction?
You still learn stuff anyway. I mean, okay, I don't know how you're doing with Atlas Shrugged. I'm wading my way through that one on audiobook when I'm doing chores and stuff. And if you think about it, the correlation of what she's writing about, I don't even know when she wrote it, I can't remember, is actually happening now. And and a lot of the even fiction books I read, even if it's nothing that's, you know, that is important to me, you go, well, I was reading something about the horse latitudes the other day. It was just a little paragraph that explains, like, when people were traversing across the ocean in their sail ships, they would get stuck in the doldrums, and they're stuck for sometimes weeks on end because there's no wind blowing. And of course, in those days they were kind of superstitious, and they'd actually would sometimes throw their horses overboard to appease the gods, and that's how it got called the horse latitudes. Well, you don't get that in a regular book; you get that in some, you know, in fiction books. You know, you just learn really neat things.
Well, sure. They Nate said that Atlas Shrugged was written in 1957.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. So there you are. What is that? 66 years, you know, 2/3 of a century ago. And other than railroads and newspapers, it probably could have been written today. Do you know what I mean? Actually, it's probably more precedent today than it was then. And Freedom Media Corps, always great to have her. I love seeing her in here. Said you learn things when it's a turn of phrase or a place. She said fiction's also a mental escape or a reset. And she said, I love to write fiction as a way to get stories out of my head. Have 4 books published on Kindle. That's really cool.
Oh, yeah. See, now I don't want to say jealous, but I think people who can write fiction, I know I'm not that intelligent. Like what she can do, and like, I don't know if you ever read any of Amy Dingman's stuff, her fiction. Man, they're brilliant. How do you write a book where you can get your characters and your plot and the twist plots and everything and mesh it together? And some of it's going to show up on page 2, and some of it's going to show up on 56, and you know, that's way above my head. I want to be a writer one day, but I know that I couldn't do fiction because it's just that it's fascinating.
I love it. You know, I do. What about nonfiction, Thecia? What's your favorite, or anything that's ever really changed you, or, you know, some of your favorites?
Oh man, I've got, because I went through my 20s in the 90s, and that's when all the self-help books were.
Sure.
So I've read most of them. I don't know. I'm reading The One Thing now, and I'm getting a lot out of it. And
I don't know that one.
Yeah, that's kind of helping you to focus on the one thing to get you to moving forward and stuff, instead of, you know, like me trying to get too many things done at one time, you know.
Yeah, too many pans on the fire, right? So
yeah, I've probably read all of the self-help books, and because I was born real hard-headed with a terrible temper, and I knew it was me. I knew that the issue was me, so I thought if I did self-help books, that it would help me improve. And I guess it has to an extent, but most of it is sometimes just hard living will straighten you out.
You're not wrong there, Thecia. Yeah. I mean, I'm a little bit behind you in life, but not nearly as far. And that's what straightened us out a bit, you know? So
yeah.
Freedom Media says The One Thing is excellent. Now I'm going to add that to my to listen to list, because I'm always looking for a good book.
Yeah.
So when you, something I've noticed, I didn't notice before, but when you close out your YouTube videos, you always say, live until we die, or live until you die. What is
Live
the
until
phrase?
you die.
Where
Yeah.
did that come from?
Well, that's kind of a multifaceted thing too, because basically realizing that I was getting older and I could either sit back and watch television and stuff. Okay, now, okay. And I tell you this stuff, but I don't ever want anybody to think terrible of my husband. He goes to work and he comes home and he watches television. He has given up on life. He has completely given up on life. And I didn't want that to be my life. And so I know that I'm not getting any younger. When I turned 50, I realized I'd lived more than I had to live, left to live. And I thought, oh my gosh, I better get to going. I need to start living now. And then when COVID happened, I saw so many people give up on their life then too. Our 40-year class reunion was coming up and some people were going, oh, I just don't want to risk it. And I'm thinking, oh my gosh, guys, this is all we've got. You have to get up. Jack Spirko again, the dash. When the day you're born and the day that you die, what is your dash? Everything you're doing in between. And I did not want to meet God and say, the television was pretty good, but I went. I know I'm going to have a lot of things I need to atone for when I die. I know that, but I also want to be able to say, God, I got up every day and I did my best for you. And yeah, I still watch football. I still watch sports. I still do watch a little bit of television and stuff, but other than that, I always want to encourage people to get up and live until you die and quit. Don't give up on life, even though society wants you to, in some way, one way or another. And, do
you think that, so are there, I'm kind of reading between the lines here, but there are a lot of people out there who have stopped living a long time before they stop breathing?
Yeah, absolutely.
How do you keep living, Thecia? Like, I mean, I know obviously you keep breathing, but how do you keep living a life that's worth living? No matter, even when you get up in the morning and you ache, or you don't feel like eating meat, or, you got bronchitis for 3 weeks or whatever it is. How do you keep going?
I think because I still have goals, and I have to admit there have been times in my life where I've never wanted to get up out of bed and stuff like that. But right now, even at my age, and even when I was having bronchitis and couldn't breathe, I still went, oh, I've got a video I need to get out. And I would jump at 5:30 in the morning. I'm jumping up. I'm excited about my life. I know I get excited about a lot of things and stuff, but having a goal, having something to live for makes a difference. And I always tell people, you don't have to be crawling on the roof like I am. You don't have to be crawling underneath the house like I am. Find something that makes you happy that you can work toward. It doesn't even have to be house renovation. If it's artwork, whatever it is that makes you happy to get you up off the couch, that's what I want you to do. And so that's kind of what my message has been kind of honed down for, is find what makes you happy and go for it and quit sitting there on your butt.
What have I said to you? Well, I don't know what makes me happy. I'm just a miserable individual. What would you say to them?
I don't know. Pray for them. Because like I said, I live with one of those now, and I have to admit, that's kind of a struggle for me too. Because as much as I want to have my husband with me and doing things with me, when he does, I'm kind of dragging him along, and it actually wears me out more, So as much as I want to have a partner and someone to share my life with, it's draining,
So without sounding mean or anything, then in some ways you're better off to do things by yourself, motivated, than trying to bring someone else along with you. Is that kind of it?
Yeah.
And it doesn't mean you love anyone any less,
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you love them, and I think it's a lot of bipolar stuff. It's kind of funny. I told him here a few weeks ago. I said, dude, you can go for months without saying a word to me, and then all of a sudden you want to start talking to me again. I'm going, I'm in my own little world. Why do you want to talk to me now? And then that he's going to go away again, and it's almost like a death. So because he comes in and out of my life, it's a constant transition of oh, he's talking to me. Stop and listen. Stop and talk to him, you know. And then when he stops talking, I need to stop talking and quit trying to talk to him. And I'm a little bit slow to figure that out sometimes, because I'll still think he's in the communication mode, and he's not. So, but it is almost like a death. You just like, oh, he's gone again. Okay.
So when you get onto a project, like say during the day, do you kind of get in the flow and stick with that the whole day and kind of get lost in it? Or do you really jump around even within one day?
I move around too much, and I need to redo that. That's the reason my bathroom is not done. I unfortunately, I have, because I have a granddaughter, because I have a house, because I do the cooking and the cleaning in the house and the yard and the mowing and the vineyard and stuff like that. I have, unfortunately, sectioned my life out in 30-minute increments. Okay, I've got 30 minutes to edit this video, and I do 30 minutes. Oh, now it's time to get up and do a load of laundry. Oh, now it's time to work on this, and I've scattered myself too much. I'm in the process of rethinking it now and doing bigger blocks on the physical things to get them done.
I just thought, so how is it? Are there any certain particular challenges for creating content as an older generation? Like, have you, do you find the technology difficult sometimes, or no?
Oh, yeah, the technology, yeah, sucks. I have to. I was trying to listen to Jack Spirko talking about NOSTR the other day, and I'm thinking, dude, I don't know what you mean by protocol. What are you talking about? I'm yelling at
I know.
And so, yeah, I've learned enough to get me where I need to do. I can do some editing and stuff, but yeah, I don't think I'm minimal. You know, I think, in some things I'm pretty minimal with technology stuff, because I am spread so thin. Oh, you want me to learn something new? Why? You know, I'm already trying to learn all this, you know? So, I mean, I haven't ever learned to do lightning yet, and I need to learn to do that. And,
you know what? Here's my thing. You don't have to learn any of that. That's the beauty of it, because it's great. It's an awesome thing. But if it becomes a chore, or it becomes something else you just have to do, then don't worry about it. You don't have to do it. You know, don't ever put that on you, because you're doing a shit ton of stuff that you're kicking ass and taking names at. So whatever, the other shit, if it gets done, it gets done, but don't worry about it. Jeez, you know?
Yeah, sometimes I get to feeling overwhelmed. I keep thinking, well, if I get it done, that's great, but if I don't, it's not. But you know, the whole point is to move forward. So I got to get it done to move forward. Because right now I'm showering in the barn. Our bathroom is in the barn, and it's not heated. I mean, the bathroom can be heated, but the barn itself is not heated. So yeah, I'm ready to not have to walk across the property to go take a shower every night.
You know, they always said, did you grow up in a barn? Well, no, but you shower in one anyway.
Yeah. Yeah. And I used to do my dishes and stuff in there. We had it set up when the camper we lived in for 7.5 years didn't have running water. It wasn't connected to sewage, and it didn't have any running water. So basically I did everything in the barn. And, so yeah.
So I got to, okay, we talked about tools earlier, and I saved this one for close to the end, but I think I asked you one time, or you mentioned what your favorite tool was. And it's a real sexy one, isn't it?
Yes. I'm so boneheaded sometimes after you ask me that. I didn't realize you were asking me about DeWalt or Milwaukee and all that stuff. And I said, oh, the one I use all the time is a claw hammer. It works really good for weeding.
You know what? You still joke about that, but that's awesome. I never thought about using it for weeding. So whatever, if that's your favorite tool, friggin' run with it. I love it.
Yeah, after I realized, I thought, oh, what a bonehead.
Oh, shoot. No, that was great. I loved it. And for the record, guys, Thecia asked me to bust her balls about that one because she still enjoyed it too. So.
Yep, I did.
So if there's any other piece of advice or anything else, because I'm sure there's somebody out there who's either down or just thinks, well, I don't know, maybe I should, maybe I shouldn't. Anything you'd say to them?
Oh, don't give up. Just keep on living, doing the best you can, whatever it is. Have fun. Have fun. Oh my gosh. I work all the time. I put in like 14-hour days, but I'm having fun. So it does go back to, live until you die. This is all we got. This is our one life. I mean, even if you believe in reincarnation, this is all you got for this life, So enjoy life and do the best you can with it, and don't give up.
I love it. So how can people find you, Thecia? What's the easiest way for people to follow up with you so they can support you?
My major thing is Grandma's Homestead YouTube channel. And I'm getting better about getting my videos out. I'm doing this Monday update going, oh, look, my trees are finally leafing out. It's like, lady, they've been leafed out for 3 weeks. I know. I'm getting caught up, And I also have started my own podcast. It's called This Grandma's Life. Nice. And so I do the podcast on that one. And I'm working with a website. Is called Grandma's Homestead .farm. That's and so I can be found on Instagram. Where am I?
I got
TikTok.
You here. Yeah. Huh? Oh, I was going to say I thought I had your. Yeah, I threw all of your links too, but I see YouTube. You got a farm animal YouTube channel as well.
Yeah.
And the podcast and. Yeah, Grandma's Homestead.farm.
Yeah.
I like that. That one's cool. The .farm thing. I like that a lot.
Yeah. Yeah. And and that farm animal life, that's just what I just take a camera in the brooder with something. And so it's just, I'm not even talking. I just stick it in there with an animal. So it doesn't have very many views because I just don't mess with it too much. But it's kind of cool to watch. It's kind of cool to watch the animals when they know there's no people around and how they act.
I like that. That's like people. It's fun to watch people when they don't know you're watching, see how they act too, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, thanks, Thecia. If you want to hang in the back for just 1 second, I'll close up and be right back with you if that's okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Thank you very much. Well, guys, I hope you enjoyed that. If you came away from this episode and you're not motivated to live until we all invariably die, then you weren't listening to the same conversation I was, because Thecia, like I said, I remember commenting on one of her very first videos that I saw and how much of a motivation it was to me, because she was up there on that roof trying to fix that leak because she had to do it herself. Nobody else is going to do it for you. And so if nothing else, 2 things to remember tonight: live until you die, and never lose that picture of the naked man chasing the Rottweiler down the road. So with that, guys, as always, stay happy, stay healthy, and have a great week.